our guest he's an author, professor, lecturer, motivational speaker, music executive, artist manager, entrepreneur, fighter, and cancer survivor would be some of the words that sum up the life and career of Mr. Mathew Knowles. He's also responsible for developing the careers of his daughters, Beyoncé and Solange, and the group Destiny's Child. Welcome, Mr. Mathew Knowles. Mr. Mathew Knowles, hello.
Hello, how are you?
We're wonderful. How are you?
Well, it's a great day. Most days are very good for me. I don't have much to complain about. I have a lot to be thankful for and grateful for.
Wonderful. It's great to hear. And it's a pleasure to have you on the Twins and Media Live this afternoon. So thank you for your presence.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Knowles, you were a recent panelist for the American Heart Association Roundtable, Empowered to Serve, which was created to inspire thought, leadership, and community transformation. How did you initially get involved?
Well, I've been involved with the American Heart Association for, since 15, 20 years ago. Nancy Brown is a personal friend of mine who's the CEO and president, who does an extraordinary job. We've done partnerships together with different various artists at Music World. So I built that relationship, and actually Nancy was the first person, one of the first people I called when I was diagnosed myself with male chest cancer, and introduced me to some of my team in the medical field. So we had discussions with her team maybe about 6 months ago about initiatives in the Black community for health and wellness. And that kind of transformed to having a more structural conversation on racism and where we are today in America with structural racism. And it was very inspirational, very motivational, and very informative. The folks we had on, Roland Martin, did an exceptional job as always. I won't hold it against him that he's alpha, but he did an exceptional job hosting and was quite an experience.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Knowles. Wonderful. Yes. And so you are a fighter and cancer survivor yourself. Talk to us about that experience with your breast cancer diagnosis and the work that you do to help Black males to care about their health as well.
Well, I think it's first important that, we live in a day of messaging and how we give the message and how the message is perceived. So I think we use the word male chest cancer, and we never say for a man breast cancer. That's not something we want to say as men. A matter of fact, if you want to keep us from going to get a mammogram and keep us from say that word, that is a respectful word used for women. Not for men. We just simply see our bodies differently. So this is the month of November is the awareness month for men. I'm glad you give me this opportunity because anyone that knows me know that I shoot real straight in how I think. I don't hold back, and I try to change thought processes. It's really shameful that this is the month that's dedicated for men,
yes,
health and wellness, and the media and society doesn't talk about it.
Yes.
Doesn't engage at all about men's health month, health awareness month. It's actually shameful when just in October we celebrated and we informed women of breast cancer, and the next month we don't say a word. Me Too movement should be for everyone.
Everyone.
And it should be for men as well as women.
Yes, we agree with that, Mr. Knowles, exactly. And to continue with what you're saying, in recent news, stars like comedian Sinbad recently suffered a stroke. And going along with what you're speaking on now, again, how do you emphasize, Mr. Knowles, for men, Black men especially, to get tested, to talk to each other, talk to one another, and say, have you gone to get tested? Have you had your checkups? How do you continue to emphasize that important factor?
Well, that's a very, very good question. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
And what you guys are doing, I applaud you.
Thank
To
you.
sisters Trisha and Sasha and Tasha,
Yes.
I applaud you for bringing awareness. We have to step back and understand that a lot of what we do, a lot of behavior, is really based around those things that happened during slavery. And we forget that my grandfather, his dad was born a slave.
Yes.
It was not that long ago. And black men and slaves at that time, they were not given a fortune of when they were sick, they couldn't work, nor could women,
Yes.
but especially men. And so we've always, unfortunately, and we have to change that perspective, that we have to work through our illnesses. We have to be tough. We can't go to the doctor. We don't have time to do that.
Yes.
We have to work. No, the truth of the matter is that if I'm sick, I become a liability to everyone around me. I become a liability to my family. I can't earn income. And so it's very important that I stay healthy, not just physically, but also mentally
Yes,
healthy
indeed.
as well. And so I did research just recently. And if you look at all major categories for cancer as well as cardiovascular disease, 98% of those categories, black men percentage-wise were number one in mortality death rate.
Wow.
Number one in death rate.
Wow.
Let me tell you the three areas or the two areas that black men were not number one in breast cancer. And guess who was number one? Black women. And in suicide rate. That was white men ranked number one in suicide rates in America. So as you can see, that's why we have to really inform and do the things that you are doing and really give an opportunity for men to understand the importance of health and wellness. It all really stems also from the new aspect of medicine, which is genetic testing.
Yes.
Genetic testing is the new weapon so that we can be informed, which I had known earlier in life. I certainly would have gotten a genetic test. And there's many companies, and the leader is a company called Invitae. I want to inform people, Invitae.
Okay.
And you can simply get a saliva sample sent to your home, where you give a saliva sample and mail it back. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get results. And it doesn't tell you you're going to get cancer. Right. So I don't want men and women to be frightened. It's not going to tell you you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. What it does tell you is that you have a greater probability, if you are positive for the test, that you have a greater probability of getting cancer or heart disease. And then you make a judgment call on lifestyle changes.
Yes. Very, very important, Mr. Knowles. Now, with that being said, and all the wonderful things that you do, very busy man, what do you do, Mr. Knowles, to protect your overall well-being?
I work very hard. When I was a young man, I worked very, very hard on winning awards, being number one, being the best, making sure my artists were the best. Today, I work very hard on one word: happiness.
That's right. Love it. Yes. Yes.
I wished I had known earlier on to put the same energy that I did on being number one and the best, put that same energy on happiness. So today I work on happiness. And for me, that's a number of things. It's about living my passion, about living my truth, uh, about it, empathy of others and care of others, uh, and mental health as well as physical health. I work very hard today on happiness.
Happiness.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Yes,
and
love it.
please continue to be happy. It looks really good on you. And we're going to briefly go back to health. And I want to ask you, what are you looking for going forward in 2021? What are you looking for as far as continuing your work with the American Heart Association and a message for 2021? What would that message be for everyone, the Black community, and their health?
Well, early detection is the key.
Yes.
It's real. I like to keep life very simple, not complicated. I don't use big words, although I could. I keep life simple. It's really about early detection and going
Yes.
to the doctor early and understanding what baseline exams you should get at certain ages. And knowing your body, our body tells us when something's wrong.
It does.
And knowing that and understanding that in today's world, you have patient rights. Doctors aren't viewed the same way, and they don't want to be viewed that way as gods. They want their patients to express when they want information, don't understand. If they say a word and you don't understand it, stop them and say, I don't understand what you're talking about, doctor.
Yeah.
And you have the right to get other opinions. And so know your patient rights as well. But it's about early detection, ladies. That's the whole key. You find it early, the outcome will be much, much greater, much better than if you find it late.
Find it
That's
late.
right.
And
Yes.
also, I want to ask you another part. What advice do you have? Because a lot of men don't talk about getting exams and their family medical history. But for Black men and women, what advice do you have for us to sit down with our families and say, this is what I've been tested for, or this is what's happening to me, and having those conversations with your family so they're better off in the future as well, as far as their health?
Well, we also, to that question, which was a good one, we need to know our family history.
Yes.
I was on Dr. Oz, and he challenged me to go back as far as I could. And I took on that challenge, and I found my great-grandmother was the first I could find that had breast cancer. My mother's sister had breast cancer. I knew that. My mother's sister, who would be my aunt, 2 of her daughters died, and these folks died of breast cancer at an early age in their 40s. I knew that my grandfather on my father's side had prostate cancer, but I didn't know that 4 of his brothers died of prostate cancer. My dad died of heart disease. My grandfather on my mother's side died of heart disease. So it's important to know the family history, and that's where that genetic testing, if there's something I could really, one takeaway today is to please get genetic testing, because it gives you a roadmap, and you can get it in your 30s. There's no waiting to 60 years old. You want to know this early, that if you have a roadmap, the possibility of getting heart disease or cancer.
Yeah.
Then I know the things I had to do. I had to reduce alcohol consumption, which I thought for me was easy just to stop. I had to start exercising.
Very important.
I had to start eating healthy. Because if you look at all of these diseases, the one word that keeps popping up is obesity.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm proud to say I've lost 25 pounds in the last 4 months.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And it simply was from doing those things I just talked about, from exercising, from eating healthy. I don't eat all these meats and processed foods and lots of sugar. I don't do that anymore.
Very, very good. Mr. Knowles, we have a viewer, Rhonda Moore, who says, my husband Morris was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in 2012. And their message as well is to make sure that other men get tested. So we just want to kind of read some of the comments to you on our live stream.
Yes. Also, Mr. Knowles, what advice can you give to the younger men who think that because they're younger, they don't have to worry about like their diets or exercise, or like you were talking about getting tested? What do you want to say to them?
Well, I mean, everybody's definition of younger is different.
Okay.
I assume you're talking 2030s.
Yes. Yes.
I think the coronavirus has taught us the hard way that disease sometimes doesn't matter what age or race that you are, or gender.
Yes.
It's an equal opportunity disease.
It is.
Most diseases are.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to getting baseline exams, knowing your family history. See, if I know my family history, then the way I approach my health and wellness is different than if I don't know my family history. Right. And it's about also obesity. That doesn't have an age limit either.
No.
Or gender limit.
No.
And so it's just being knowledgeable. And sometimes for younger people, especially men, I'm asking and encouraging women to really have this tough discussion with your son, your husband, or your boyfriend. Have this tough discussion that we're not vulnerable, that we have to go through the same process of health and wellness. You talked about prostate. I would BRCA, which is a genetic. When I did my genetic testing, I'm BRCA2 mutated. Okay. And what that means, the BRCA genes are supposed to protect me from diseases, but mine is broken down. So it doesn't protect me in some areas. I have to be very mindful of prostate, melanoma, skin disease, pancreatic disease, and male chest cancer. So I get a mammogram every 6 months. I get a blood test, full body, full blood workup every 6 months. And I go to my dermatologist every year. I had my dermatologist looked at all of my moles, and a couple of them he was concerned and did a biopsy. Fortunately, it came back negative. Okay. I did a pancreatic MRI. I've done prostate MRI. Yes. It took me probably 2 hours, maybe 3 total out of my life to do those exams I just talked about. Think about it. Men, we're supposed to be smart. 3 hours out of my life to save my life.
Yeah.
Let me weigh that out.
Yeah, weigh that out. Yeah.
Let's see.
It's always better to be proactive,
than reactive.
Yes.
It's better to be proactive than reactive.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Well said.
Mr. Knowles, before we close out, and first, thank you for being such a wealth of great information and advice. Anyone watching, I'm sure they're blessed by all of the information that you're providing. We thank you for it. And we like to take care of our interviewees. So we'll ask you this question. What are you most thankful for, Mr. Knowles, in 2020? It's been a year for everybody, but what are you most thankful for?
Well, you have some good ones, you and your sister. Next week is the week of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
But I think, I'm thankful now more day by day, minute by minute. I'm thankful that I have good health.
Yes.
It has to start there for me, because without good health, I can't really be of value to myself or others. So I have to focus, and we all do. There's no wealth without health. There's no success without health.
That's right.
So you have to put things in chronological order of importance. For me, number 1 is health. Then number 2 is family.
Yes.
Because if I'm sick, again, I become a liability to family. And I don't want to be a liability.
Yes.
If I'm sick, I can't work. I couldn't do this interview if I'm sick. So that's what I'm thankful for, is having the health that I have, and a good health, and the recovery that I'm having. That would be number one. And number two would certainly be family. But number one is health.
That's right. Well said.
Wonderful.
Well said.
Again, it's been such a pleasure and an honor to meet you here and to speak with you. The career that you've outlined for many, including your daughters, has been phenomenal. And we thank you for your contribution to the music world. And again, we wish you the very best,
Yes.
great health, time with family,
Happiness.
and happy Thanksgiving. And Mr. Knowles, you must come back and visit with us soon.
I would actually love to come back. I feel your positive energy. I love what you're doing. And you make us proud. Not only you, but the young people. And when I see young leaders like yourselves, that's what we need. It's time for my age to step aside, be there to advise and consult, but to let young people like yourself, and you will make some mistakes because that comes with the job. When you're growing and doing things, it's not going to always be perfect. But I'm proud when I see young people and young women and young sisters together. It makes me proud, to see you sisters working together. That's a dad's dream come true, to see his daughters work together. So I'm very thankful and proud of both of you. And thank you again for having me. Can I just leave with one story? Because I'm a storyteller.
Go ahead.
I travel a lot. And so this particular trip, I was in Los Angeles at the airport, going down the escalator. And there was a nun from Mexico, and she was with a missionary. And she had a jar that said, "Please give." And I gave. She gave me a card, and I finally, a couple of months later, looked at the back of that card. And that's what I want to leave you with.
Okay.
The back of that card said, "Pray not for a life free from trouble. Pray but triumph over trouble."
Wow.
Or what you and I call adversity. Call adversity. The universe, God, Jesus Christ, whatever name you use, calls opportunity. You see, adversity will happen in our lives. That's a given.
Yeah.
We often pray that it doesn't. This is saying just the opposite. Pray so when it happens, that you can overcome it and see the opportunity. When I found out that I had male chest cancer, I asked the same question most. Why? Why me? Yeah. And I thought of this prayer, and the opportunity for me is to do what I'm doing now and to be very open and candid and hopefully give information that help others. So thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you for pouring into us. And we will talk with you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Mr. Knowles, and your weekend. And again, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
All right. Be blessed.
God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.